Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and podcast, and welcome back to a match preview. It's been too long since I last said those words. We are back. The World Cup is almost over. I think there's 2 games left to play, but we're not focused on that. We are focusing on the EFL Cup round 16 game against Bournemouth. I'm Scott. I'm your host for this one, and this week we are joined by Kris, Joe, and Daryl. Kris, how are you, mate?
I'm excited to get club football back, Scott, to be honest with you. I think everybody's in the same boat here. I think there was a great video that went around Twitter, and it wasn't one of the Newcastle accounts I had put as soon as the full-time whistle went at the England game, and obviously he took his England shirt off, he just had Newcastle shirt underneath. I think everybody has that exact same feeling, to be fair. So bring it on, mate.
Yes, we are all chomping at the bit. Daryl, how are you, my friend?
Very good, mate. Thank you. Like Kris, clamoring for some club football once again and just getting back to St James's Park. Cannot wait.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Joe, obviously always good to have you on. How are you, my friend? How are you, mate?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, very good. Trying to stay warm. But,
Yes.
you know, I'm, like the other lads have said, very excited to get back to business and get the proper football going again.
Well, before we get down to business, there is one thing I have to do. I have to tell everybody that the Gallowgateshots match preview is brought to you by Magpin, as every week. Magpin is the go-to site for high-quality, unofficial enamel pin badges of Newcastle players, kits, and legends. They're also doing the little postcards every month. I think, Kris, you've got a few in the studio there. And they're also doing a calendar. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter this week, but they've got a calendar for next year with a few of their drones. You haven't got that as well, Kris, have you? An exclusive?
No, I don't have a calendar. No. I was looking out for it, but no, I don't.
You looked like you had one there. I thought we were going to get a little exclusive. Anyway, if you want more information on any of those items, their website is magpinbadges.bigcartel.com. Right, let's get down to business. It's been too long. I've missed this, so let's get on with it. In case you didn't know, the game has been moved forward. It was supposed to be on Wednesday night. I think 7:45 is the same time, but they moved it forward because of the strikes that are going on. It's now on Tuesday night at 7:45. So if your ticket says Wednesday, your ticket's wrong. Make sure you check it. Make sure you go on the right day and don't turn up at St James's Park on Wednesday night trying to get in, because there'll be no one there. It is round 16 of the AFL Cup. I don't think it's on any TV at all. Just like the Palace game, although I don't think we missed much with that Palace game, if I'm being fair. But we did, in the last round, beat Palace on penalties. It was one to forget. Did anyone? I don't know who went to that. Kris, you went to that one, didn't you? The Palace game.
I was there, yeah.
Can you remember it?
We went with the Tire Spot. So we went with the lads from Tire Spot. That's sponsored the Monday night show. It was bad. It was probably the worst this season, easily. But we got through, and that's all that matters, mate.
We did get through. I think Daryl and you and I were watching, kind of trying to watch the highlights on Sky Sports News, and there just wasn't any, and they just never brought up at all. And then all of a sudden, it was a penalty shootout, and you know it's a bad game when Sky Sports can't even mention you once. So luckily, Nick Pope saved a few penalties and got us through. Obviously, we scored ours as well. But before we move on to the game that we're going to play, obviously it is round 16 of the Carabao Cup, and the other fixtures and the other games that are being played on that night, the teams that will be left after that round, got to fill you with a bit of confidence. Joe, I'll come to you first, mate. Just looking at some of the fixtures, obviously Man City are playing Liverpool. You've got Man U against Burnley. I think it's Leicester against MK Dons. And Nottingham Forest are playing Blackburn. There's some teams that you would maybe want to look to avoid who could be going out in this round, which would then fill you in confidence for the next round should we get through.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. There were a few upsets in the last round, which is obviously great to see. And it's it's an ideal opportunity, I think, especially given that we're not going to be playing in Europe like some of these other bigger teams. One less competition, and it means that we can rotate the squad just a little bit better. In terms of the opportunity for some silverware, I think this is probably the best we're going to get this season. And to be honest, even then, we've shown that we can beat literally anyone on our day. We went toe-to-toe against City. We've, Man United, we beat Spurs. It kind of goes to show at this point in time, I don't see any team that we can't, that we don't have a very good chance of beating. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, and I'm not really fearful of anyone that we get in the next round, bar maybe a Liverpool or something. But
even then, we drew against them in the league. If you don't count that last minute goal,
we don't count that.
No, it doesn't count at all. It was too late. I think the one thing to look at it is, and you've mentioned it there, the fear. There isn't any fear, and Daryl, towards the end of the, I don't want to say towards the end of the first half of the season, because that doesn't sound right, but before the World Cup, the lads were pretty fearless, and you'd think we could play anyone, even France in their current form, and would probably scrape a result. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. We did a fantastic opening part of the season there, where we came out with just one loss in that whole part of that process, and
we don't count that one.
A lot of people were saying that the World Cup came at a bad time. Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of people saying that the World Cup came at a bad time, and for me, I don't think it did, because I think some of the lads needed that break and they needed a bit of a rest, particularly those that didn't go to the World Cup, and I think we'll come back into this stronger, ready for this part of the season to come, and I'm really looking forward to the game. Really looking forward to it.
Yes, I think we all are. So Bournemouth in the last round beat Everton 4-1. It was a strong Everton side as well. They didn't, I don't think they had Pickford, because I think he was injured. And obviously Bournemouth have some pretty, players that you want to be mindful of, like Dominic Solanke and all that sort of stuff. But Kris, can you see Bournemouth causing us any trouble? I think we drew 1-1 with them in the league we were talking about just before we started here. And it wasn't the best of games, if I remember rightly. Again,
I think Pickford might have actually played, to be fair, Scott. I'm sure when I was looking at images on this one, I'm sure Pickford was in some of the photos when I was looking at doing the thumbnail. I might be completely wrong, looking at a different game, because I thought we were playing Crystal Palace at one point.
Well, they played them twice. They played them in the league straight after.
Yeah, so he might have been looking at the league.
Definitely possibly.
The only worry which I have is what we saw earlier in the league when we played Bournemouth, is that they came back and they didn't look interested in bringing the game towards us. Obviously, it helps that it's a cup game, because you can't draw the cup game. It needs to be a winner eventually. But I think what Daryl said, that the break, I'm probably firmly on the fence with this one. I can't really say if it came at a good time or if it didn't. We'll soon find out if what happened. I think the fact that we've had I'm saying pre-season, it's mid-season, just because we had a friendly in Saudi Arabia. It's really hard to get your brain around. We had that friendly in Saudi Arabia and dominated that game as well. So it looks like the lads are still full of confidence. They're still banging goals in. And I think hopefully we'll see something different than what we did earlier when we played Bournemouth. I think, like you said, any team at St James's Park will take them. Absolutely take it.
Yeah, I think from a lineup point of view, and we'll come to that a bit later, I think the friendly that we're going to play at the weekend will tell us a lot about the players who are potentially going to start on Tuesday night. I think maybe Eddie Howe would have preferred the game to be on a Wednesday to give them that extra day, maybe an extra day's rest after the friendly. I think it'll dictate more changes during the friendly at the weekend because of the game being brought forward. But we'll turn to players returning from the World Cup. Obviously, we've had Wilson and Trippier who've been back for most of this week. I think they've been back even probably late last week as well, but certainly back in training this week. We've seen pictures today of Bruno being back in training, but there's still no sign of Nick Pope or Fabian Schär. Joe, when it comes to Wilson and Trippier, do you expect them to at least feature in the squad when it comes to Tuesday?
No, to be honest, I think Eddie Howe will probably give them the break that they need. It's not just about how much they've actually played, but it's the training regime. It's the mindset of getting back into what Howe wants. He's obviously very meticulous, and he'll want to sort of integrate them back slowly. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that it'll be too long before we see them again. I expect to see them against Leeds. However, I think he'll probably stick with, the lads who have been there, who went to Saudi, etc. Mankiw obviously played, and he's done a pretty decent job as well. with Isak still trying to get back to fitness, I expect Kris Wood to probably come in ahead. Although, to be honest, I'm really hoping that we can at least get half an hour out of Isak in this game. But Trippier and Wilson, I don't expect to see them on Tuesday.
It's going to be interesting because obviously Kris Wood came off early in that friendly in Saudi with a back injury, I believe. I don't know if he's been training at all this week. I cannot remember. I saw Joe Linton was back today or yesterday, but I don't know if there's been any sign of Wood. And with Isak being out, I don't know if Eddie Howe's hand might be a little bit forced here in that you might have to put Wilson on the bench in case it doesn't work with whoever he decides to play up front. Kris, what would you do? Would you throw Wilson and Trippier straight back in, or would you give them a bit of a rest?
I think Eddie Howe will leave it in their hands. I think that Kieran Trippier is a type of person that'll always say that he wants to play football. And so if Trippier's been back in training this week, that's probably a full week's training, really, when you think about it, before that Tuesday game. So I think Trippier might start, I've lost Daryl. Probably Daryl. I think Trippier starts. I'm not sure on Wilson, because Wilson missed a few training sessions as well when he was away with England. Let's not forget that.
Didn't he? Little niggle as well.
I think Trippier starts.
Well, I was going to come to Daryl next, but he's just popped off for a coffee. So we'll see. Oh, here he's back here. Let's add him back in.
That Wars and Wi-Fi, man.
Dodgy Wi-Fi.
Back, Daryl.
Dodgy Wi-Fi.
Too right.
So Daryl, I'm going to come to you next because you've just decided to pop back in. Obviously, we've talked about Wilson and Trippier, whether they'll feature or not. But I think the bigger question is, where is Nick Pope? Is he gone again?
Daryl's just doing this really weird Joker smile now, which is, if you just listen to this audio, this is the weirdest. Look at him.
He's just happy to be here.
Oh, man.
Honestly.
Are you with me, Daryl?
Are you back?
Is he there?
No, right now.
No, he's gone.
He's on side delay.
I'm here.
Back. Yeah.
Did you hear the question?
No.
Right.
I'll answer for him. When was Nick Pope? I don't understand. He didn't play. He played the least amount of minutes out of everyone. Yet for some reason he's getting an extended break. I don't really understand that, to be honest. Having said that, Karius did so well in Saudi Arabia that I wouldn't hesitate to put him in between the sticks. I think he's done absolutely brilliantly. I mean, we've only seen a little bit of him, but I see no reason why he shouldn't get the nod, especially in a cup game. I appreciate it's the first one back after the break, but he's done well. And if Nick Pope is away doing his thing, sponsoring Burger King or whatever, then what Karius? I think he's. I'd like to see him in a competitive game.
Fair.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how long
especially
his contract's
competitive game.
Yeah, I don't know how long his contract's for because I know it was short term. I assumed it was finishing sometime in January when Daryl was meant to be back. But whilst he's our player, I would love to see more of him. He's a good keeper. And
there's talks of him being offered an extension as well. So it looks like he's doing the right things in training. I think a lot of people forget he wasn't a bad keeper before that Champions League game where he let in a couple of howlers. He wasn't a bad keeper. He just kind of got outcast straight away and never seemed to bounce back. And
it's a couple of
lifeline, haven't we?
Dodgy moments in one of the world's biggest stages. So that's probably why he disappeared, didn't he? Didn't he not obviously didn't have a club. He just absolutely disappeared.
No. He got loaned out.
He went to Hoffenheim.
To a Turkish club, I think. Or was it Hoffenheim?
He was at Hoffenheim.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he got lost in the gym as well because he came back twice the size and just the incredible Karius. There's a picture of him. I think just on this evening on his Instagram of him. I think that it's the Christmas night out with for the players tonight, and he's in his suit and he's got a good tailor to get him into a suit like that. I'm telling you, because it's bursting at the seams. But anyway, we'll leave all that sort of talk to Mark because he likes to talk about players and their muscles. Obviously, Fabian Schär is a player who played a bit longer in the World Cup. He did get a few more minutes, I would say, than anyone else out of the team. he was also injured a little bit. I think he had an illness, and he may still be unavailable. So when it comes to our centre-back pairings, there's probably a potential that Jamal Lascelles comes straight back in, and then it's a toss-up between Botman and Dan Burn, whoever they want to do. I'll come back to you, Kris. When it comes to a lineup for this, do you throw everything at it? Do you try and get to the next the next round of this cup, or do you hold off and try and keep the league position, considering? And again, I had to look at the league table again because I remembered, but I didn't believe it. We are in third place.
I think we'll go for it. We'll go for this. You've got to remember what we used to basically describe as our squad players and the bench warmers performed well. So you probably will see a very similar team of what played in that friendly in Saudi Arabia with a couple of tweaks to that. Like I said, I think Trivia will probably come back in. I think he goes for it. He has to go for it. Like Joe said, this is probably our best chance of getting any form of silverware, and it's a perfect opportunity. I don't see why you wouldn't field your strongest side. I never understand that in cup games, and I get it. Yes, you get games in quick succession, but we don't have that, and we've had a huge break here. So why not? Why not?
Yeah, I think the other thing to bear in mind is player sharpness. I've got no doubt in the fitness, but match sharpness is completely different to being match fit. And
it's probably wise now, Scott, if you get that match sharpness during this game, then that takes you into the Premier League game rather than starting cold into the Premier League.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, we're playing Leicester in the Premier League. When is it? Boxing Day. So not that big of a gap.
Leicester Leeds, haven't you?
Leicester than Leeds, So, they're not easy games by any stretch of imagination. Leicester were picking up a bit of form just before the break. So, Daryl, you'd like to think that, getting minutes in players' legs is a priority. We've obviously got the friendly on Saturday as well, which, it's going to be non-competitive. So, you can take that with a pinch of salt in terms of who will play. But I do think maybe the lineup that we see or the changes that we see in either the second half or the latter of that second half on Saturday will tell a lot as to who we're going to be playing on Tuesday.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you also got to look at the balance now as well. So instead of now we've now got an extra day off between the cup game and Leicester rather than having a bonus day between the friendly and the cup game. So that will probably help players in terms of recovery from the cup game. And I think you're right. Well, I think listening today, there's a few inclusions in the squad for Saturday of players from the academy. So that'll give you a hint of bringing those extra bodies in so that you can rest the players who we'll need to for the second half to have them ready for Tuesday night. And in terms of what we're talking about there with the goalkeepers, I think I would like to see more of Karius as well, be that on Saturday or on Tuesday in the cup as well, especially if Nick Pope isn't going to be back in time. One thing I would point out about Fabian Schär as well, just to rewind a little bit, is that he was having issues with I think it was either tight calves or tight hamstrings before going off to the World Cup. And that was why we were seeing pull up later on in games just before we broke up. And that's probably carried on into the World Cup. But I do remember hearing something about him having some sort of virus as well. So give him that extra bit of recovery time because we've got a bit of strength and depth now. So we won't miss him too much, I don't think.
No, we don't. I think the only selection dilemma we're going to have, and we talked about this a bit earlier, is up front. You've got Wilson coming back from the World Cup, who, like Joe said, didn't really train for a couple of games. You've got Chris Wood, who's potentially got a back injury. It's said on the Premier League injuries page that he's 50-50 to start. Even Joe Linton's down as 50-50. And then obviously Isak, it has him back on the 26th. So I don't know if we'll see him this year at all.
I don't think we'll see him this year.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see who we pick to play up front. We can either, if Joe Linton's fit, I think he might start with Joe Linton up front, personally, or he might go with Alan St-Maximin, which he's tried a couple of times, and then have a bit more around the midfield. It could also be, a farewell game for a few of the players. There's been rumours of certain players, leaving in January. So your likes of Jamal Lascelles and Ryan Fraser, it could be their swan song for Newcastle. So we'll see what happens. We'll turn our mind over now to predictions. And Daryl, I'll come to you first in case you have to nip off again. What are your predictions for Tuesday?
Well, to be honest, it's very, very hard to predict, and I'm really struggling to think because I don't know how we'll it's we've talked about they're coming back from this break and how the lads will be I mean, we've seen the friendly last week in Saudi and how dominant they looked, but that was against a team from Saudi Arabia. No disrespect to them, but you've got the game on Saturday, which is that last chance for the warm up, and then you go into that game next week. Now, based on what we saw when Bournemouth came here in the league, I'm sort of with Kris, and I think it'll be a completely different kettle of fish from us, and we'll certainly be ready to go out there and do a professional job and come away with qualification and same way in the hat for the next round. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Newcastle win.
Nice. I like that optimism. Just straight back to winning ways. Joe, what's your predictions for this one, mate?
Now, this isn't much of a statement, but I think it'll be better than the Palace game. I think
it can't be any worse.
It can't be any worse, mate.
It can't. It really can't.
Well, I think we'll definitely feel the stronger side. I mean, as Kris said earlier, that it's a perfect time with the next league game, like a week away, for us to get that match sharpness up and to get as many of the players back playing competitively as we can. So I think it's going to be a lot more fluid, a lot more competitive. And I'm having said that, I think Bournemouth will also feel quite a strong side. But I mean, we are a very strong team with a lot of strength and depth, and I reckon that we're going to get this done in 90 minutes this time. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Newcastle.
Nice, another 2-1. Kris, your prediction, mate?
I think I'm going to voice the same as everybody else. I think we'll dominate this one. I think Bournemouth will try the best to contain it, but like I said, can't do that all year long. Somebody has to win this one. I think it's going to be quite comfortable. I think it'll be 2-0.
2-0.
And I also want to state that you mentioned it's going to be farewell for a few people. Florian Lejeun's going to get his farewell as well.
He will, yes, on Saturday.
Match on Saturday.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Be good for him, I think, because he kind of just disappeared after his loan, didn't he?
He came out and said that he was devastated that he didn't get a chance to say his goodbyes to everybody. So be good to see him on Saturday.
That'd be good.
Very good to see him.
Yeah. Can I just ask a quick question? So, just on the friendly, since the friendly was organised before the cup game, do you think it's actually come at a little bit of a bad time, given that it's so close to the cup game?
I think it's come at a bad time because of it being brought forward, but then, like Kris said, it's given an extra day going the other way. I don't think there'd be any problems with playing a game on Saturday and then a game on Wednesday, especially not when it's a non-competitive game.
We'll have to remember as well, pre-season, we'll play the game on the Friday and the Saturday. Yeah. I think you're going to see two different sides for both halves. You'll see mass changes throughout that game.
Yeah.
In fact, wasn't the one game in pre-season where we played two games at the same time and they just changed pitches? I remember.
That was
I think that was it. Was that against Burnley? Yeah. So we can do it.
Beat like
Got
9-0,
there,
didn't we?
Got there.
Yeah.
I think Daryl done satellite delay.
Yeah,
anyways, I'll give you my predictions. I also think it'll be a pretty dominant display. I think, Bournemouth will sit back deep and try and hit us on the break. I don't think we're the type of team who can be hit on the break that easily, though, because we do have a pretty decent defence and back line. I'm going to go for a 2-0. I'm same with Kris. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think if it's Karius playing, those driving gloves that he wears for keeper gloves, will do him justice, and he'll be saving those shots left, right, and centre. So yeah, I think 2-0. I think like we've all said, it'll be done in the 90 minutes. I don't think we're going to need any extra time for this one, but we'll see what happens. That'll obviously all unfold on Tuesday night. I won't be able to see it because I don't think it's on any telly, but I'll probably find that out on Tuesday morning when the listings go live. But I think the fact it's been reorganized and rearranged, there'll be no TV coverage.
It's very rare that you'll get the TV coverage from the cup games, to be honest with you, because not easy as accessible like Premier League or overseas and everywhere else. So
it's a weird one because the service that I get in the Netherlands, it lists the Carabao Cup as one of the tournaments that they have, which is why in the Palace game I was like, oh, I don't have it. Like, why don't I? Like, you've listed. So I think it's down to if there's a camera crew there and it's not just one guy in his iPhone for Sky Sports News.
I'll tell you what, anybody that's going to that game on Tuesday night, wrap up, because it's going to be bloody freezing in St. James's Park. It's not the warmest place on the best of days. It's going to be bitter, absolutely bitter in that ground.
It is. And obviously, for everyone watching, it is on Tuesday. If your ticket says Wednesday, like we said at the start, don't pay any attention to that. It has changed. Can't stress that enough, but you've probably already getting emails and everything from the club about that anyway. So fingers crossed, you get there at the right time, you get there the right day, and everyone has a safe journey there and back, because conditions will be pretty treacherous. But that is it for this one, unless anybody has anything they want to add.
No, all good, mate. Good to be back. Good. It's very good.
Great to be back. Great to be
back. Absolutely is, and we've missed everyone. I've missed seeing everyone's faces, and we've missed you lot watching as well. So do us a favor. Once you finish watching this, scroll down from this video and hit the little thumbs up button. It'll get this in the hands of other Newcastle United fans and probably some Bournemouth ones as well. And it's always good to have them interact with us in the comments below to let them know what they think about the game. Let us know your predictions in the comments below as well. It's always good to read through what people think we're going to be doing, and we'll see who gets the predictions right. Was it Jody Joe? Someone was getting Harry getting the right predictions a couple of weeks ago for him. But anyway, we'll see what happens. You can also subscribe to this channel and get more of this content. We have, loads more coming up. And there's also videos on this channel that we've done throughout the World Cup and also before the season. We've got the Always Smiling Faces podcast on a Monday. Extra Time is on a Friday night. Hopefully we'll get the return of that soon. We've got these match previews. We'll probably do a match reaction as well. And there's one-off videos that we do every now and again. I did a overview of the Alan St. Maxim Helios game, which me and Kris have been pretty addicted to over the last week. What level are you now, Kris?
Still one.
Still one. It's one higher than I am, I'll tell you.
It is do you know what it is? Once you think you've got the hang of it, something comes, you go, what? How's that just happened? But I'm sticking by it. I'm getting there, mate.
We all want to win a watch or a Dior bag or whatever it is given away for this.
It'll be easier if Saint is just watching this. If he just sends me a Rolex and we don't have to go through all of that hassle. To be fair.
Absolutely, be a sponsor of the channel. Why not? So if you like this content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to go one step further, we do have a membership program. It's $2.99 a month. That gets you early access to all the videos on the channel that are pre-records, as well as the Telegram group. We've just changed to a new Telegram group. So if you are a member and you've lost access to that, check your social page. There'll be a link in there for that as well. But that's it, everybody. It's been a nice one. Nice to come back. I was a bit rusty, but I think we all have been a little bit. I'm sick of watching the World Cup. I'm ready to get back to club football. Daryl, I'll come to you first, mate, because again, we don't know what your connection is going to be like. But thanks very much for joining us this evening.
No bother. Thanks for having us. See everybody as well. Good to see everybody be back.
Yes.
Let's go.
It is good to be back. Joe, thanks again as always, mate.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
And Kris, obviously, thanks to you, mate, but it's your channel, so.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming anyway.
It's everybody's channel. Mate.
It's everyone's channel. It's a channel for the masses.
Just boss.
Channel for the
people. But yeah, thanks very much, everyone, for watching. We will see you for a match preview next week for the Leicester game. And we'll also have other videos, like I mentioned earlier, coming up. But thanks, everyone. See you in the next one. Ta-da.